reading.
In a time of dread.
Dreaderation. Also, previously on, well, Willow, I guess? Look, we send multiple movies in the same franchise possessing the exact same name on our Sort of Famous Uncles channel, so why would you think we'd be any different here?
We thought the war was over, but soon after returning home, Willow had a vision.
Yes, because if you need to show a future incident in a fantasy story that will need to be dealt with eventually to save the world, there's nothing more original than one of the main characters having a vision about it. And if you're concerned there isn't a prophecy to be dealt with as well, Willow has your ass covered.
It was the only way I could protect her.
The only way you could protect your child was to lie to her about who she really is? Sounds like an excuse for shitty parenting to me. This isn't Santa Claus. You're lying to a child about their past and identity. You're ensuring a nice payday for a future therapist who will have to untangle all this shit. Are masks that take away basically 100% of your peripheral vision a great idea in a sword fight? Because I don't think they are. Since they're just friends who are sparring, could they not choose a location that's a little less frightening? They're fighting on a cliff one could easily fall off of and would most likely die. And we already mentioned their peripheral vision is seriously impaired.
You know, there's skill, then there's talent. And I just happen to have both, along with a generous amount of arrogance.
Just because you get called out on your vanity doesn't make vanity any less of a sin. And vanity is definitely my favorite sin. I'm not sure Willow is a kid's show, but it's enough of a family show. I find it odd they introduced Prince Eric by showing us his O face.
Eric, I love you.
Confessing your love to a guy that just confirmed that some of the stories about him might be true. Wait a little bit, see which ones he's talking about first. They might be the really bad ones.
King Hastur with a great host was seen riding into the Vale.
Well, I'm sure Robert Arryn has enough forces in the Eyrie to protect the Vale. And if not, I'm sure his cousin Sansa will back him up. Wait, which fantasy show am I sitting again?
And what do we suppose she means by presentable?
Well, I suppose not covered in dirt and grass.
Oh, whoa, she's so particular.
Rich kids. That's stealing. We send Aladdin when he did it. You bet your ass we'll send you too. If you need food, ask the shopkeeper for help. If they say no and are rude about it, then you can steal from them. That's just science.
You saw nothing.
Dude, if you didn't want people to see you kissing her, maybe don't do it right in the street in front of everyone.
I saw everything.
Being this excited about seeing your brother's everything.
Why do you look like you've been rolling around in grass?
He really doesn't. There's not a bit of grass on his clothes, and his hair looks like he just showered and blow-dried it. So unless the script told you he's been rolling around in the grass, you wouldn't have any evidence to suggest such a conclusion.
What's that on your neck?
Oh, I got bit by a fire moth, I think, which was
You
strange.
sure it wasn't a dove?
Siblings.
Lachlan told me he found you and Jade atop the canyon maze again. You know I don't like you playing on those rocks.
Yeah, we already covered this, Sorsha. Really gonna need you to keep up.
You're picking out my clothes now?
We're really doing the cliche mom/daughter character conflict again. It was tired and brave. It's beyond tired now. Please, find a new way to drive development between fantasy characters. Pretty lackluster reaction to whispered ominous voices, Sorsha. What are you, a Skyrim NPC?
Nonsense. Nothing gets through the barrier, ever.
Oh, well, in that case, feel free to be even more dismissive of the Queen's concerns.
We all grew up on stories of your parents.
Yep, and that's what Disney's banking on for your interest in this series. Those stories you grew up on, courtesy of Ron Howard. And quick, while you're distracted by nostalgia, they're increasing the price of Disney Plus. Hope you don't mind.
The one with the lips in the face?
That describes every human being in this room. Maybe you could try specifying hair color or clothes.
And for 200 moons, we've maintained a civil alliance.
How long is a moon exactly? Why use such a confusing measurement for the passage of time? Why not just use months? They even have some of the same letters and
Tomorrow, Prince Graydon marries my daughter, Kit.
Are we really doing another princess doesn't want to marry the prince storyline? There are other options for plot and character arcs. I don't remember a story about Eowyn being forced to marry Faramir against her will to unite Gondor and Rohan, probably because she was too busy killing the Witch King of Angmar. My point is, stop it.
I'm getting acquainted with my betrothed here, but you can go wherever you want, as you've made abundantly clear.
Kit is introduced as a strong, fierce, independent woman and immediately turns spoiled and whiny as soon as something doesn't go her way. It's not as if she's just now finding out about this arrangement. She's had a lot of time before now to work out her angst. This scene just feels forced for the sake of dramatic tension.
Have you ever heard the story of Taramis? She was a princess. Cashmere.
Continuing to tell your story even though the person did not answer your initial question or tell you whether or not they even wanted to hear the story.
I don't want to miss.
You can absolutely be upset about being forced into this marriage, but putting a gourd on your brother's head, picking up a knife, and risking his life to prove a point seems like a dick move. We are supposed to like this character, right?
He's gonna talk to the king, smooth everything over,
I
explain
think
what's
you
all...
should stick to chasing girls. rather than sticking your nose in matters that you're incapable of understanding and are not your concern.
All the way off, queen of on your children. Eric just ran a play in masterful diplomacy to salvage a mess, and you're gonna scold him for getting involved? With how often she snaps at her kids, it's no wonder Kit turned out so unlikable, and Cat distracts himself with anything that's nice to him.
Kit, I'm not going anywhere.
Maybe you should. Your mother and sister are truly awful people.
But what if it was better?
Thing I keep asking myself about this show somehow makes it into the episode.
You're gonna be a great night.
But hopefully not a green night, because your life will just be super confusing and weirdly metaphorical, and then at the end of it, you'll probably lose your head.
You know, there's nothing brave about running away.
Kind of ironic how just a few minutes ago we saw Kit accusing Eric of leaving just like their father, and now here she is doing that very thing. I'm really curious about what the purpose of the cage helmet is, because there's a lot of open spaces where the face and head could easily be reached by a weapon or even a fist. Why is this design? Hey Leo, how do you think we should handle the first big action sequence in this series? Well, John, I was thinking we could get a dozen fog machines, let them rip, and make it nearly impossible to see anything that's actually happening. Man, Leo, this is exactly why you get paid the big bucks. Leo, sorry to bother you again, but what are you thinking in regards to showing this evil magic guy's powers? Well, since everything is foggy and super dark, I was thinking maybe some super dark particle effects. I mean, damn, Leo, you just know how to bring a tear to someone's eye. I'm so proud of you. Quit spinning your sword like that. It's the third time you've done it in the last 30 seconds, and you're gonna hurt someone on your team. Leave the rule of cool for Dungeons and Dragons.
He's what they came for.
Good thing you were looking out your window to witness something the series didn't bother showing the rest of us.
You're the commander of the Pacalcade.
Oh, the Pacalcade. I definitely know what that is and understand its importance in this context.
I've known Eric since the day he was born, and he's as close to a son as I'll ever have. At least that I'm aware of.
Did this seem like a good time for a quirky quip? Because I don't think anyone has time for this. Her son's been kidnapped by monsters, man.
No, I think we're good. Fellowship-wise.
Thinking that name-dropping a superior work of fantasy makes your lackluster series any better.
The last thing that Eric said to me was that he would never leave me. And when he said it, I didn't care.
Then why should we? Skip!
A knight is defined not by skill in battle, but by the oaths they keep.
I mean, skills matter a little. It's not like a knight can be about to lose a fight, flash back to an oath they made, and then find renewed power to overcome their foe. This isn't anime, bro. Stop spinning your weapons for the love of all that is good. Even this highly trained and experienced knight flinched. Riding, cantering, galloping, trotting, still more horses horsing. Excitement.
Have you ever been in a fight? You mean like verbally?
You know she didn't mean like verbally, Dove. The script makes most of the main characters smart and capable until it doesn't need them to be anymore, and I hate it.
Seriously? You brought a flute?
He brought a flute.
Wow.
Ellie Bamber's performance is maybe the best part of this episode, and I graciously tip my sin cat to you, milady.
I know this is a silly question, but what is the barrier, actually?
That's actually not a stupid question. It's a pretty damn important question for the audience to know the answer to. What is stupid is the show taking 36 minutes to get us a solid definition. I'm not sure why this episode felt we needed a guy giving a creepy nod and smile after finding out two women are a couple cliche, but here we are.
The kitchen maid?
Is that her official name? Why does nobody call her by her? It's because she's actually Elora Danon, isn't it?
Look at this.
You'd better come take a look at this cliche.
We stand at the threshold.
Good thing Flash Thompson came along, because otherwise no one would have been able to read this scrawl and they would all be f***ed. It's neat how that worked out so well for everyone.
The healer of worlds. As he stirs from his deathless slumber.
Imagine being this idiot at the campfire recap, having to explain, I don't know what happened. I saw some ancient writing and blood on the wall in the most important gate of all times, and when I read the first part, the ground shook, so I just kept reading.
If you're not vigilant at each moment, I swear you will not survive.
The negative here is that their leader has been killed. The positive thing, though, is that now Dove has her own horse. Not that she'll use it.
Really? Thank you!
But why? We just went over the fact that Dove has her own horse now. Why are you making things more difficult than they need to be, Kit? We're supposed to like Kit, right? Forget the fact that none of the horses tried to stop. Forget the fact that a fall from this high into the water probably would have resulted in horse legs broken in several pieces. The bone whatevers still have arrows and bows, don't they? Why aren't they shooting at them?
And stop.
So you hoped an ancient word in a language the horses hadn't been trained in would convince them to stop, except they didn't stop. They overrode their will to survive and launched off a cliff into water? This show's dumb. Did you steal this blade from Cloud? Because it looks like you stole this blade from Cloud.
I just think you should be in love with someone before you commit to spending the rest of your life with them, right?
Did you try telling Disney that?
We're looking for the sorcerer, Willow.
Congratulations. You found him.
Meaning the dude pretending to be the dude behind the dude that is not the dude, but is a dude trying to protect the main dude.
A prisoner of the withered crone, who dwells in immemorial city that lies beyond the shattered sea.
Good thing we've got Willow here, who's well-versed in the sorcery of exposition.
LFL.
Casting a touch spell without making a saving throw for consent.
You shouldn't be here, but it's so good to see you, Elora.
So Dove is Elora, which is a cool enough twist, but they hit the woman who was going to save the entire kingdom one day away by making her a f***ing servant? What the f***, Sorsha?
You are Elora Danon, last blood of Chimeria, future empress, high priestess, temporum sorceress of the 9 realms.
The Unburnt, the Breaker of Chains, the Mother of Dragons. Seriously, what show am I even watching?
The spell didn't work.
So, we're getting married. That's weird, right?
No sleep till bum 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 busted.
They're coming.
Talk loud, I can't hear you.
The halfling was dear to thee, I see. Know that he suffered greatly at the hands of his host.
Wait, you think we're gonna die? Wish someone told me. I'm really scared of dying.
And the Dutch.
My mother once told me about a band of mercenaries that came to a peaceful planet. So finally the people resisted. When they returned demanding their tribute, the people shouted back in one voice, "No more." So they cut off the tongue of every last man, woman, and child.
That is a tree.